Hey guys, the character Liang Yue will see a rerun in just a few hours. I've been telling you for quite a while now that this is the most important pull in version 3.4. She is the second best main DPS character in the entire game, and you shouldn't skip her no matter what, even if that means you pull her on P0 and you will not be able to get your hands onto Chen Higuang. Now, why is that, right? Of course, she is the second best main DPS character in the entire game. That is already reason enough for you to pull for her, no matter what. But there is more, because we already have the information that we will not be able to build a follow-up attack archetype team in the next 6.5 months at least. That time window might increase, and the only viable follow-up attack archetype main DPS in the game will be Liang Yue. And that is crucially important because the powerhouse characters here in form of Flutterpage and Fatutu do belong to this very archetype. You want to play these two in a proper team. You want to have a proper home for these two little cute kids. They are powerhouses. You do not want to have these two powerhouse characters gather dust like by any means. That's why those are the reasons why you would have to pull for Liang Yue. You have to be aware of two things in particular here. So yeah, or even more things, right? I will talk you through what I'm exactly talking about. Please pay attention and know and be aware of the things that I'm about to tell and to show you. As otherwise, if you would be unaware of these things and then you pull for Liang Yue, there is a quite huge likelihood that you would be disappointed by you pulling for Liang Yue. Now, let me tell you what this is all about. First of all, you have to be aware that the character, as I told you way back in the day, over 1 year ago, when Liang Yue released, that character is what I would say completely unplayable with at least P1. I will show you once we hop in battle why exactly that is. Know that the P1 extends the duration to 4 tiles instead of just 3 for both of the sections in your spell dock. I will explain that more once we hop into battle. Now with her Euphoria update, things change a little bit, because now what you really want to, that is not necessary to make her be playable, but what you really want to is to have her at P2, because you start with 5 Moxie already accumulated. That will drastically increase your speed and your AP friendliness, because right now with her Euphoria, she casts her ultimate completely for free and automatically once you start a round with 5 Moxie accumulated. Okay, keep this in mind, please. Another thing is, when we actually look at her Euphoria, then you have to know that back in the day, without Liang having her Euphoria, she would always didn't really depend on what of the 3 extra attacks you use with her. Let me explain that real quick to you. You accumulate green and red stacks by using your incantations. Again, I will explain this further once we are in battle. And it didn't really matter what stacks you exactly accumulate and what the extra attack that you use with her actually is. So she has 3 different extra attacks. One is green, one is red, and one is that we call balanced. Now, with her Euphoria update established, you will always need to cast her balanced extra attack twice in a row before you would then go for most of the times the red one or sometimes even the green one, depending on the situation. So right now the playstyle for Liang Yue drastically changed with that. Why do we have to use the balanced extra attack twice in a row? Why is that so important? Because that is the only extra attack out of these three that would give you a very beneficial buff called Swift Resolve. You can stack this up to 2 times. That's why you want to use your balanced extra attack twice before you use any other extra attack. That is the biggest damage increase that you can obtain with Liang Yue, and that is why you want to always accomplish that. And again, without her being at least P1, or without you having Chen Higuang at your disposal, this will be an absolute pain in the ass. Let's hop into battle and let me show you why that is. Here we are, and yeah, remember the portraits, right? If we would be at P2 right here, Liang Yue would immediately cast her ultimate right now because she would start the battle off with 5 Moxie already accumulated. Now, since this is not the case, we already give up on a lot of speed. Us giving up on speed already is not the only problem that occurs here. Because now look, we have to accumulate, our highest priority is to accumulate the 2 Moxie that we need with Liang Yue. Now we can only accumulate 2 more Moxie though, but Flutter Page needs 3 Moxie, and you know how it goes with teams that play with Flutter Page. You want always the Flutter Page ultimate to be cast in the very first round to establish her array right out of the gate. It's crucially important, but here, since we don't play Liang Yue at P2, that is not possible for us. Please keep in mind that, you see, we have 2 incantations available here on round 1 with Flutter Page. In this case, we do not want to use both of her incantations because we would run the risk of not having any incantations available next round, and we could not accumulate the last Moxie needed for Flutter Page. So what we do instead of using both incantations is move 1 and then cast her AP +1. That way we are now next turn 100% guaranteed to have an incantation with Flutter Page available and to accumulate the last Moxie. Now, since we have accumulated 5 Moxie with Liang Yue and she starts the turn off with 5 Moxie, she will immediately cast her ultimate automatically and completely for free. Here, enjoy this beautiful animation with her newly established garment. And now you will see the biggest issue that occurs of them all. This is why you would need P1, or at least really want P1 or Chen Higuang. Because look, now that our array is established, we have our spell dock separated into 2 different areas. We have on the left hand side the green area, and on the right hand side we have a red area. Whenever we would now cast an incantation out of one of those areas, let's say we cast a red incantation, right? An incantation out of the red area. Here, please pay attention to this claw next to your rotation. Here you will see, whenever you use an incantation, what color of stack you have accumulated. Here, look at this. An incantation out of the red area would, as you can see here, accumulate 1 red stack. And now, with her Euphoria established, you want to accumulate exactly the same amount of colored stacks. You do not want to have more red stacks, and you don't want to have more green stacks. You want to have both of these colors at the exact same amount. And here it becomes a little bit tricky and a little bit awkward, because you can see that the best case scenario would be to actually combine these 2 areas, the red and the green one. These areas, they can be combined into one area. This is an area that I always call the gray area. It is, I think, technically called the balanced area. So let's go with this term from now on. And here is where the unfinished tune comes in clutch. You can see both of our areas, they are separated by 3 incantations in the middle. So we want to get rid of 3 incantations to combine our areas. Now with Chen Higuang, he lowers the amount of cards in your hand, which means there will not be 3 incantations in the middle, but less. If we have P1 Liang Yue, then there are not 3 incantations in the red area, but 4. Same goes for the green area. There would be 4 instead of just 3 incantations in the green area. So that alone the P1 would leave us with just 1 incantation in the middle that prevents us from combining our areas. Have both Chen Higuang and P1 Liang Yue, and your areas are combined right out of the gate with you having to worry about anything, and that is what makes this team broken if you accomplish these 2 things, right? Especially if you have both of them P2, you know how that goes. Here, this is where the unfinished tune comes a little bit clutch, because we can already remove an incantation just like that from our hand, and now we have only 2 incantations left that are annoying. Okay, now we have to establish or accumulate those stacks, and we have to pay attention that we always accumulate the exact same amount of stacks. So let us cast an incantation out of the green area. Here, Flutter Page's ultimate, 1 green stack. Now let's keep it balanced and cast an incantation out of the red area. Whatever we want to do. Okay, 1 red, 1 green. And now we need to use 1 incantation. And that is the point where you then have to pay attention. Let me go ahead and use an incantation, right? No matter what it is. So now you can see here in the claw, we have 2 red stacks and 2 green stacks accumulated. We have to accumulate 2 more stacks though. And here's where you have to pay attention right now, because now your areas are combined. You can see our incantation in the very middle has both colors, red, you can see this on top, and green. Green is on the top, red is on the bottom, right? You get the point. The incantation in the middle has both green and red. So that is an incantation that you cannot cast right here, because you will need 1 more green and 1 more red stack, so that you will cast your balanced follow-up attack. Pay attention to that here. No matter what you cast right now, let's go for another green one. Here you can see green stack. Now you have to pay attention, right? Look at your hand, look at my hand right now, and tell me which incantation do I have to cast right now, which incantation do I have to use to accumulate me this needed stack to cast my balanced extra attack. There's only 1 correct answer right here. I will give you 2 seconds and then you tell me. If you give me the wrong answer, please rewind the video, watch it. Yeah, not all the way from the beginning, but yeah, from battle start, please, because you did not understand what I just told you. The correct answer is right here, only the incantation on the very right, the debuff from Fatutu. Why? Because all the other incantations, right? The incantation on the very left is green. Both incantations in the middle are both colors. Only the one on the very right is red. And go back to your claw, check your stacks. We have 2 red, 3 green. We want the balanced amount of both red and green. So we need a red stack, and that means we can only cast the incantation on the very right. Otherwise, we would make a tremendous mistake and not play Liang to her maximum amount of efficiency. And you can see, right, how convoluted and a little bit complicated this is even, and how you are kinda jailed, let me say it like that, when it comes to the freedom of your rotations and what incantations you can actually use. You don't have the freedom that you would like to have. And that's why, please, if you pull for Liang, the very bare minimum, get her P1 to make things more convenient for you. You can see that it is not completely unplayable with P0. You can get the job done that you need, right? That is the reason why I tell you it's a must-pull character. But yeah, you see how a little bit crazy this is, right? And you need to play this like to absolute perfection. One little mistake in your rotation and yeah, you throw a lot of potential when it comes to damage output out of the window. You can see, right, if you paid attention to the beginning of the fight, that our damage is not right there, right out of the gate. That is because, again, we don't have P2 on Liang Yue, and Chen Higuang isn't even there. That is another thing that you should keep in mind, is that you play Liang Yue, of course, together with Flutter Page and Fatutu. But what about the fourth slot? The fourth slot is right now a pretty tremendous issue, if I'm being honest, because this slot could only be possibly filled with mediocreness. You can see me here, I use 37. 37, please get your Euphoria soon, you're a little bit outdated. You do not hold up to the challenge anymore. And the other characters that you could use, who is even possible, right? Anyonala, not really. You don't want to bind Anyonala to anyone of this team here by any means. If you would do it, you would probably bind her to Fatutu, right? You know this is awkward. You don't want to do this. You cannot bind her to Liang. You cannot bind her to Flutter Page. So the only possible target here would be Flutter Page, would be Fatutu, excuse me. And yeah, you know yourself that you do not want to do this. So who else would synergize very, very well in a follow-up archetype team? It is 37. It is who else, right? You could maybe use Mercuria for the time being. But yeah, the point is, you don't want to use all of the characters that you could fill the slot here with. That's why Chen Higuang is also, as I explained in my pull plan, yeah, kind of really a must pull. You know, you would really want him, and you would really want to have both of them P2, but if you can't accomplish that, just get Chen. And if you could get Liang at P1, you just make your life so much more easy with it. It's actually incredible. And that's what I wanted to tell you, right? So yeah, you know how this goes, right? You always want to use like green incantations here. And oh yeah, another thing that I should mention. You can see the incantations for Liang Yue. She has a buff and she has an attack type. Wait, let me actually accumulate those to show you this better. These incantations, they accumulate stacks by themselves. Here you can see, actively casting this incantation grants you 1 red stack. That is the attack incantation. The buff incantation grants you an additional green stack. So if you would now cast the buff incantation out of the green area, you would actually obtain 2 green stacks with just 1 incantation. Now, if you would cast the red incantation, then you would accumulate a red stack and a green stack. That is because, right, the attack incantation, it accumulates a red stack by you using it, and it accumulates a green stack because this one is right now in the green area. Pay attention to this, right? Whenever you use an incantation, take a look at your claw and see what in the world is actually going on there. And once you used your balanced extra attack, you need 1 stack less to be accumulated in order for you to perform another extra attack that will put you up to speed. So pay attention as to what you are actually doing. You have 1 green, 1 red. Now you need 3 more stacks, right? So this is where another thing comes into play, because how do you see, you cannot accumulate the same amount of stacks anymore. You can only accumulate 5 stacks right now. So you cannot have 3 red and 3 green. You cannot have another balanced follow-up attack or extra attack. unless you would manage to combine the two areas and have at least one incantation casted with both of the colors. And as we just figured out, this is very, very, very awkward to actually accomplish. So be aware of that. Here, cast an incantation from the red area to see that you combine your incantations without actually moving them, and that way you would not take up any AP for moving, right? But you would make space. So I think we will be able to actually accomplish it here. Or in this case, what you could also do is just cast the incantations that have no colors assigned to them. That is also something that you could do right out of the gate. You know what I mean? So there are possibilities to play this here to avoid issues a little bit. See, now I just need one more incantation to be casted in order for me to combine the areas, and now I can go for a combined stack. See, in the next round I have the extra attack available. But yeah, you get the point. Like the way I'm explaining this and the way I have to talk about it, it is super convoluted, super complicated, awkward to play, and not convenient. And that's the point, exactly the point that I'm trying to get across here with this video, to make you aware of the fact that even though I'm telling you this is a must pull, which it is, Liang is a must pull, it is one of the best main DPS characters in the game, you could still end up disappointed if you don't get portraits for her and or Chen Higuang, right? And that's it about the video, guys. I hope this was fun and informative. I wish all of you who decide to pull for Liang Yue, which should be all of you, very, very good luck on all of your pulls. Right, the only scenario in which you wouldn't pull for Liang is if you don't have Flutter Page and Fatutu at your disposal. That is like kind of the only way. I would still recommend it and then pick up Flutter Page and Fatutu whenever you get the chance to. But anyways, good luck on your pulls, guys. That's it from me for today. Take care, have a great day, and we love this game.